Forget negotiation. Forget diplomatic tension. What is unfolding between Washington and Ottawa right now is a messy public divorce. For decades, the US-Canada alliance was the absolute gold standard for global partnerships. Rock solid, predictable, a win-win. But as of this afternoon, the winning is over. Donald Trump tried to crush Canada. He assumed he was playing the old game against the polite neighbor who always smiles and folds under pressure. He was wrong, dead wrong. Mark Carney didn't blink. He didn't hesitate. He didn't send secret envoys to Florida to beg. Instead, he did the unthinkable for a Canadian leader. He looked the US president in the eye and said, "We are done asking for permission." The shockwaves are already hitting bond markets, currency exchanges, and your 401k. Trump is furious. The West Wing is in panic mode. And the mainstream pundits, they are missing the real story. I'm going to break down exactly what just snapped, who flinched first, and why the alliance you thought was invincible is now officially broken. Let's cut through the spin. Here is the raw timeline of the last 72 hours. It began with a blindside. Trump fed up with perceived Canadian delays on minerals, and defense decided to force a fight. He hit Truth Social at 5 a.m. with a massive demand. Canada must open its telecom sector to American ownership and hand over control of critical mineral exports to a U.S. board immediately. The ultimatum, comply in 48 hours or face a crushing 30% tariff on all Canadian lumber, aluminum, and steel. Usually this is when diplomats scramble. They send a polite delegation, they issue a soft statement about shared values and try to de-escalate. Not this time. Instead, Prime Minister Mark Carney took the stage in Ottawa. No nerves, no defensive posture. He looked like a man who had war-gamed this exact moment 100 times. He stared into the camera and said 3 words: "We refuse." No counteroffer, no request for time. He flat out rejected the demand. And then he doubled down. He announced that if those US tariffs hit, Canada will instantly cut off rare earth minerals to American defense firms and freeze all Arctic development deals. Social media exploded. Trump fired back, trashing Carney as a failed banker and a globalist puppet. But while Trump raged online, the markets did something shocking. The Canadian dollar held firm. It was US construction and defense stocks that tanked. For the first time ever, a US president pointed a gun, and the target didn't beg, they pulled their own trigger. Understand the magnitude of this. This isn't a trade spat. It is a fundamental rewrite of North American power dynamics. Trump runs on dominance. He relies on brute force. But yesterday he learned that force fails when your opponent stops being afraid. Carney decided he gains more by fighting than by folding. Call it dramatic, call it hyperbole, but look at the evidence. When you see the data, you'll see this isn't theater, it is math. And the math is crushing Washington. Exhibit A, the market meltdown. Within 45 minutes of Trump's post, major home builders and defense stocks nosedived. Why? Because American industry breathes Canadian air. That single 2x4 in a new house, it was harvested, milled, and shipped through a seamless cross-border chain. Slap a 30% tariff on that and you don't hurt Ottawa. You kill housing starts in Texas. You strangle military production in Virginia. Insiders at major defense firms tell us logistics teams are frantically trying to reroute mineral shipments. They understand the reality that Trump ignores. You cannot build an F-35 without Canadian nickel, period. Exhibit B, the mineral leverage. The US media ignores this, acting like Canada only exports hockey players and wood. Canada sits on a massive stockpile of the future: cobalt, lithium, nickel. The DNA of every Pentagon weapon system, EV, battery, and semiconductor. America's green transition and war machine depend on these minerals. When Carney threatened to cut them off, it wasn't a bluff. He targeted the jugular of American national security, the raw materials inside every Javelin missile, Patriot battery, and next-gen fighter. If Canada shifts just 15% of that supply to Europe or Asia, the Pentagon faces a strategic crisis. Defense futures tanked just on the threat. The market knows Carney holds the ace. Exhibit C, the global pivot. Trump mocks Carney as a globalist elite. Well, he's right, and that connection is a weapon. Carney ran the Financial Stability Board. He led 2 G7 central banks. He knows the power players in Frankfurt and Singapore, and that network is lethal. While Trump tweeted insults, Carney was on the phone to Berlin, Paris, and Canberra. He isn't just complaining, he is building an army. We're seeing drafts of a new mineral security pact excluding the US. Do you see the play? Trump is playing whack-a-mole, Carney is building a fortress. He is weaving a safety net to neutralize American bullying, using his reputation to calm investors while painting Trump as the chaos agent. And it is working. The S&P 500 dropped 500 points. The Toronto Exchange, it went up. Money is fleeing Trump's chaos for Carney's calm. Why? How is the world's most powerful leader losing to a country 1/10 his size? Because Trump is a one-trick pony and everyone knows the trick. We saw it in 2018. We saw it in 2025. It used to be shocking. Now it's predictable. He hits hard, loud, and fast. He expects you to fold so he can claim victory. But when the blitz fails, he has no plan B. Carney said no, and Trump froze. Now Trump is trapped. He has to impose the tariffs. But if he does, U.S. costs explode. Housing prices spike. Defense contracts stall. Shortages will shut down factories in swing states. The workers in Georgia and Wisconsin he promised to save will be the first to bleed. He knows it. His team knows it. West Wing insiders say economic advisors are screaming at the political strategists. They call it economic suicide. It triggers a recession 8 months before the midterms. But Trump's ego won't let him retreat. He drew the line. Backing down looks like defeat. He can't lose to a Canadian banker. So he gets louder, threatening NORAD, threatening visas. It is all smoke and mirrors. It's the sound of a man realizing he just shot himself in the foot. He's escalating because that's his only gear. He treats geopolitics like a hostile takeover. In a boardroom, you can fire people. In the real world, you can't fire your neighbor. Canada isn't moving. Trump is fighting a map, and he is losing. Take a hard look at the National Association of Manufacturers right now. You won't find a statement supporting the president. Instead, they just slam the panic button, issuing an urgent warning about a catastrophic supply chain meltdown. And the Republican senators in border states, absolute radio silence. They are paralyzed with fear because they know their local economies are fused with Canada. Trump is stranded on an island he built himself. He paved that road with angry tweets and tariffs, and now the bill is coming due. Enter Mark Carney. If you don't follow the Great White North's politics, you might write him off as just another boring suit. Dismissing him as a standard centrist technocrat would be a fatal error. Carney isn't a politician. He is a crisis engineer. This is a man who has made a career out of stepping in when the math predicts an apocalypse. He steered the Bank of Canada through the 2008 crash without losing a single bank. He captained the Bank of England during its rockiest years. He thrives in the storm. He knows exactly how to walk into a room of panicked traders and project ice-cold stability. While Trump explodes, Carney calculates. Watch his body language at that press conference. No wild gestures, no shouting. Just a charcoal suit and cold, hard data. He is deliberately casting himself as the only grown-up in a room full of screaming toddlers. And globally, that brand is gold dust. The world is desperate for boring right now. Europe is drained. The Indo-Pacific is nervous. Markets are begging for predictability, and Carney is selling it by the truckload. He is signaling to the planet, Canada is the safe harbor. We keep our promises. We follow the rules. We are the adults at the table. It is a brilliant judo move, turning Trump's aggression into Canada's biggest selling point. Every threat Trump tweets makes Carney look more solid. While Trump shakes the foundation, Carney stands as the guardian of order. Canada can't win a fistfight with the U.S. military or economy. The size difference is just too massive. But Carney knows he doesn't need to win a head-on collision. He just needs to make the conflict so expensive that Trump goes bankrupt fighting it. It is called precision leverage. You don't carpet bomb the U.S. economy, you hit the nerve endings. He is targeting specific industries and key voting districts that the president cannot afford to lose. It's not a sledgehammer, it's a scalpel. And there is one other weapon Carney knows how to wield: patience. Trump lives on a political stopwatch, chasing daily headlines and poll numbers. Carney is playing the long game. He knows that if he stands his ground, the pressure inside the U.S. camp will build until the White House is forced to crack. It is a game of chicken. One driver is swerving all over the road, honking the horn. The other has locked the steering wheel and is calmly checking the GPS. Who do you think ditches the car first? Now, why should you care if you are watching from North Carolina, Arizona, or London? You might think this is just political theater with no impact on your life. You would be dead wrong. This fight determines the price of everything you touch. The North American economy isn't two separate things, it is one giant machine. We spent 30 years wiring this system together. We don't just make things in one country anymore. Production lines weave back and forth across the border constantly. If Carney and Trump smash that machine, the gears grind to a halt. Planning to buy a house, tack on an extra $15,000 to the price tag today. Buying groceries, watch, transport costs skyrocket. That means everything from bread to baby formula gets more expensive. If you work in defense or tech, get ready for pink slips and frozen contracts. But look deeper. We are witnessing the end of the American command era. For generations, when a U.S. president snapped his fingers, the West jumped. That reality died yesterday. Canada, the quietest, most loyal best friend America has ever had, just said no. And if Canada can defy Washington, the floodgates are open. Will South Korea follow suit? The UK, the entire European Union, the Western alliance is splintering live on air, and it's not because of Beijing or Moscow. It is because Washington decided to treat its allies like servants. We are entering a world where American leadership is optional, a world where old friendships can't be taken for granted. Trade is no longer about getting rich, it is about survival. Carney isn't just protecting minerals, he is drawing a line in the sand on national sovereignty. He is saying we can be partners, but we won't be subjects. Where does this end? This is the nightmare fuel that should keep you awake. Usually these spats end with a quiet backroom deal where everyone saves face. But Trump doesn't do quiet when he's been challenged publicly. And Carney can't back down now without destroying his leadership. We are looking at three paths. Scenario A, the grind. Tariffs hit, prices jump, and we suffer a brutal economic siege until a truce is forced. Markets bleed, recession lights start flashing red. It is ugly, but we survive. Scenario B, the spiral. Trump goes nuclear, seizing assets and shutting borders completely. He tries to block Canadian exports globally. That is the doomsday option, mutual economic suicide. It would trigger a depression across the Rust Belt in weeks. Sounds impossible. With this administration, impossible is just a Tuesday morning. Scenario C, the realignment. Carney pivots hard, fast-tracking deals with Europe, Japan, and Australia. Canada cuts the cord and diversifies. It hurts them now, but in the long run, it breaks Washington's grip on their economy forever. It means the U.S. loses its most strategic partner for a generation. I think we are stuck in scenario A, sliding dangerously toward B. This is where statesmanship usually saves the day. But we don't have any statesmen right now. The old map where the U.S. and Canada are inseparable, burn it, it's gone. Carney just proved you can stare down a superpower if you hold the right cards. But there is a price tag for that kind of defiance, and we are all about to pay it. Pain is coming. The only question is who folds first. Is Carney a visionary securing independence, or a gambler betting the house on a losing hand? I want your honest take. Is this the death of the alliance, or the wake-up call Washington needs? Sound off in the comments. I read every single one. And if you want to know how the stock market reacts tomorrow, and trust me, it is going to be violent, hit that subscribe button. History is shifting under our feet. Don't look away.